welcome back to the NWA 1984 project. I'm your host, Alex G. And with me, as always, is Matt Riley. How you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm excited.
Keep it in your pants.
It's the penis party, part 2.
So, guys, on this episode, we're going to talk about my trip to WrestleMania, WrestleCon, the Ring of Honor New Japan G1 Supercard, and the WrestleCon Super Show. So, I guess I'll start it off by saying, going to these events, especially a WrestleCon or WrestleMania in general, does kind of reinvigorate your love for professional wrestling. 99% of the fans I encountered were fucking super cool. Not a lot of douchebags. Most of the tools were at WrestleMania, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I wanted to just quickly go over my experience, not only attending WrestleCon, but actually kind of working WrestleCon. So I was working WrestleCon for the podcast I am, which is Retro Wrestling Rewind. We had the table. We did some live shows right from the venue. So right there in the midst of all the wrestling fans getting their photo ops and their autographs, we did a couple of shows. So that was a lot of fun. And that was basically took up most of my day one for WrestleCon. I got autographs. I went around and got the photo ops. I got to meet a lot of cool wrestlers. I guess right off the bat, starting off my day was a little disappointing. We had a photo op with Brian Pillman Jr., who no-showed his photo op, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we didn't necessarily get a reason why, but the fine folks over at hotspots.com did refund my money, so I was happy about that. At least I got my refund, and I was able to take that money and go to another wrestler and get a photo op and picture with them. So some of the wrestlers I met over the weekend, it was Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Ted DiBiase, Missy Hyatt, Tessa Blanchard, the Lucha Brothers, Jushin Thunder Liger, the Great Muta twice, Dutch Mantel, the Rock and Roll Express, which Ricky Morton is the coolest motherfucker on the planet, by the way. He was fucking awesome. It was so nice meeting him. I think overall, I mean, especially for me, meeting someone like Muta was a thrill because he doesn't come out to the States very often. Yeah. Liger I've met before, but it was a nice opportunity. He's on his retirement tour right now, so it's nice to see him before he calls it a career. Got to meet Onita from FMW fame. He was awesome. I also got to meet Ultimo Dragon and Sonny Ono, and I got an official, authentic Ultimo Dragon mask along with my picture and my autograph. So that was really, really cool. The people who were stationed next to us, we had a person next to us who produced a wrestling horror movie. So they were selling DVDs, which was kind of neat.
Really? What was it called?
I forget the name of it. It slips my fucking mind right now, but it seemed pretty cool. It seemed pretty, it's a B movie. They told us as such. So,
wait, you mean it's not going to go to the Academy Award?
It might win Academy Award for best film starring wrestlers in it. And we're also sitting next to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I was able to have a brief conversation with him about his health. He just recently had an open heart surgery, the same surgery my dad had, and kind of talked over that a little bit. So that was cool. Again, able to have a quick conversation with Hacksaw and kind of being there. In terms of not only being there as an attendee, but as someone who is working the convention and had my vendor pass and stuff like that. So I was able to get in early and kind of watch, and kind of be a fly on the wall on, how wrestlers interact with each other when there's not really fans around. And that was really kind of cool to see. It felt like being one of the boys or being in a locker room somewhere. So that was pretty neat. Yeah, I think I stated it before on our last show that that'll probably be the closest I'll ever get to actually working professional wrestling, which is fine with me. But I did have a really, really great time at WrestleCon. It was organized very, very well. For the most part, everything ran smoothly. Ric Flair had the longest line I've ever seen. It was probably like a 3-hour wait to get an autograph from Flair.
He's 70 now, so...
Yeah, still has the longest line. And he was there for the entire time. So he was there from 9 to 4, just signing away. And, that was great to see. And he did his his photo ops with the Horseman and stuff like that. I considered getting a picture with the Horseman. That was very pricey at $150 though. So that was a little bit of money there. I was also able to hang out with Mike from RetroSoft. They're putting out a Retromania video game, so I was able to talk to him a little bit. Get to know him a little bit better. They already got some names on that game already. So they already have the Blue Meanie, the Blue World Order. They have Tommy Dreamer. They have Zack Sabre Jr. They have Austin Idol, and they have the Road Warriors. So again, this is a legitimate game that's going to be released on the PC, and they're working on getting the license to be able to put it out on the Switch, the PS4, and the Xbox One. So this is legitimate. This is not a hack. This is a new game from the ground up that's going to be a spiritual successor to WrestleFest. So everyone loves WWF WrestleFest, and it's a spiritual successor to that. So Mike was a really cool guy. I look forward, and I hope that I get to hang out with him some more and work with him a little bit more in the future. We'll see how that goes. In addition to that, Mike was able to bring along the Blue Meanie, so that we had the Blue Meanie stationed at our table for day 2, and he was a super nice guy. He's super awesome. I helped him out taking a couple of pictures when he needed them, and he was able to bring a lot of traffic over to our table, so we're able to get a lot more entries for our free giveaway, which was a basket, a retro wrestling game basket that had a lot of old PWIs in it, action figures. We had our mug in there, and we had an autographed picture of Scott Steiner, and it was really cool. It was actually a really, really cool looking basket. So my sister made that basket for us, so I just want to give her a quick shout out and thank you for that. That was awesome. She did such a great job on it. The first show that I saw that weekend was the WrestleCon Super Show. Now, I was on Thursday. That was the first day that I was able to get in. Overall, the show, was pretty good. I know they had some issues with Bandito. He had a hard time getting through immigration and customs, so he had to miss his photo op. But he did make it up because he stayed after the show and signed autographs and stuff. So, he almost didn't make it in, but he was there. In addition to that, we had Masato Tanaka, who defeated Eddie Kingston. Which was a really interesting match. We had Ray Phoenix, who defeated Pentagon Jr. We have Samantha Heights and DJZ and Puma King, who defeated LAX and Sammy Guerrero. Robbie Eagles defeated Aries and Flamita. Hurricane Shane Helms, X-Pac, and Jushin Thunder Liger defeated Revolt.
What?
X-Pac can still go. X-Pac can still go, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice.
He didn't lose much off his fastball at all, and even Shane Helms looked really good, and Liger was being Liger. We had Dragon Lee, who defeated Cavernario, and I think Dragon Lee, if not already, he's going to be a major, major player moving forward. We had Zack Sabre Jr., who defeated Shane Strickland. Again, Zack Sabre Jr., a fantastic talent. He's definitely a big star. I mean, I'm surprised the WWE didn't make a more bold move to get him signed. I know they made an offer to him, but he politely declined. But he is really good. We had SCU, who defeated Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends, and Orange Cassidy is going to be an interesting guy to follow in the near future. So
who is Orange Cassidy?
Well, look him up, and he does some really interesting stuff. So
does he wrestle with his colon or?
No, he does some things that are a little bit different, and he definitely has a shtick. So. Trent Beretta looking jacked as all fuck, by the way. So he's looking nice and big, and they were dressed up in their Scott Hall gear. If you remember when Scott Hall invaded Nitro for the first time, they had the jeans and the denim fucking vest. They were rocking those and doing Scott Hall mannerisms, which was fun. It was good for the crowd. And in the main event, which was fucking off the fucking chain, dude, Will Ospreay, who defeated Bandito. Bandito. If you guys haven't seen the Bandito match, he is fucking amazing. He's a newer guy, but he's fucking off the charts. I think everyone knows how great Will Ospreay is at this point. If you guys ever watch those matches with him and Ricochet.
Right.
So I think overall, the Super Show was really good. I mean, it's fucking Liger on it. And I now have a new affinity for the new LAX, by the way. So I think those guys are fucking awesome. So definitely check that out. Again, Pentagon and Ray Phoenix, those guys are fucking it's so good. And it's so fucking good. It was fucking ridiculous. I had a really great time at the Super Show, and it was cool because it was at the hotel that WrestleCon was at, and the hotel that I was staying at. So I just had to go downstairs from my room, and there we go, right into the show. So
like Marty Jannetty was drunk in the hallway, and
Marty Jannetty was there. He wasn't drunk this time. He didn't try to steal anyone's gimmicks from the gimmick table, so that was good. So allegedly steal gimmicks from the gimmick table. He was thrown out at WrestleCon and at WrestleMania 29 for being Marty Jannetty. So
oh boy.
Virgil did not have a table, and he was trying to scam people and let them set up at their tables. Eventually he did find someone to let him set up at his table. So Virgil being Virgil. It wouldn't be a wrestling convention if you didn't have Virgil being Virgil there. So if you had to ask me who was my favorite people to meet, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, I think were my favorite. And Tessa Blanchard, who is not only super hot and super gorgeous, he smells delicious. I'm not trying to be weird or gross, but that's just the reality of the situation.
Tessa Blanchard smells good?
Yes.
That's always a bonus. It's better than hearing, you know who smells like poop?
She was cool as shit too. So nice to get it's cool to get pictures with the legends, but it's also cool to get pictures and autographs with people who are currently in their prime, and the up and comers and the new stars as well. So. So that was cool to see. Like I said, WrestleCon was organized, very, very, well. They did a great job overall. The only complaint that I kept on hearing is that they felt that because it was almost like 4 different rooms, and these were big ballrooms. They weren't small.
Yeah.
A lot of people felt that it was too spread out, and you couldn't find guys when you're looking because, they had a map, but it wasn't necessarily all that great, and they moved people. So, that was, difficult. That was difficult if you're trying to get someone specific. And some of these guys are only there for a limited amount of time. It would be like 12 to 4. And if you don't miss them, that's it. They're gone. Nothing you can do there. In addition to that, I got to meet Dan the Beast Severn, and he had his NWA World title with him. So I got to be able to take a picture with the belt. And I got to meet Jesse, the Body Ventura, who does not shake hands, by the way.
No?
He'll give you a fist pump, but he's not going to shake hands because he's afraid of germs. And he's afraid of getting sick. And he says he's gotten sick before at these conventions. And which kind of makes sense to a degree. He's an older dude, number one.
Yeah.
And wrestling fans will be wrestling fans. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Well, I can tell you from going to like PAX East, we call it the PAX Pox.
Yeah.
When you get out of there and everyone gets sick, I avoided it this year, knock on wood.
Yeah. So I don't begrudge Jesse for not shaking my hand when he did give me a fist bump. So, that was okay. Plus, it's Jesse. He was at the big event in New York. And he was at WrestleCon, and he hasn't done anything else prior to that ever. So this is like the first time we're seeing Jesse out and about like this. So again, pretty stoked that Jesse is coming around wrestling again, which is nice. He's not hiding in the mountains of Mexico. So that was nice to see. And a lot of people asking him if he's going to run for president or not. And he's like, if we got enough support, I'll run. I don't care. I'll do it.
There you go.
On Saturday, I had went to the G1 Supercard. Now, this was a co-promoted event with Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling. That sold out in Madison Square Garden. I remember we talked about this quite a bit for the last couple of months. And for a while, it didn't look like it was going to happen, but they made it happen over Ring of Honor. I'll give them all the credit in the world here. But here's the thing about this show. It felt like 2 distinct shows because the Ring of Honor, the Ring of Honor matches felt like Ring of Honor matches with their announcer and the whole 9. But the New Japan matches, they tried to be authentic New Japan. So they had the Japanese announcers, right? They had it just felt very New Japan, which is good because you get the New Japan experience in the United States, which is amazing to me. And even their video packages were all in Japanese. They didn't give a shit. And it was funny. I think it was Bandito was going to cut a promo at the end of his match at the Super Show.
Yeah.
And he asked the fans if they wanted him to talk in English or in Spanish, and the fans overwhelmingly said speaking Spanish. So it's like, no, we want you to talk in your native tongue. We don't want you to be any kind of Americanized. We want you as you are. And I felt it was very much like that with the Supercard. Japanese wrestling. You hear the girls.
Yeah.
Like I got to hear that, so that was pretty neat. And I think. For me, the most exciting thing that happened was, as a surprise, they had Muda appear on the show in the New Japan Honor Rumble, which is, they had a 30-man Royal Rumble to start off their show. Kenny King, won that by eliminating Judas and Liger at the end, which was fine. They didn't care because I got to see all the great competitors in New Japan. I was able to take pictures and, where I was sitting, and I had 4 seats, and I was always, I was 16 rows deep, but all the way against the guardrail. So I have some good footage. I might put that up on YouTube. I might have to mute the music, though, of some of these guys doing their entrances. So that was really cool to see. So we had Kenny King, who won the Rumble by defeating Liger. After that, we had Jeff Cobb, who, if you guys haven't not seen Jeff Cobb, he is fucking awesome. He defeated Will Ospreay, and this was a winner-takes-all match with a never open-weight championship and the Ring of Honor Television Championship. So now Jeff Cobb, 2 belts here. After that, we had Rush, who defeated Dalton Castle in 15 seconds.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
They did a little apparently Dalton Castle has his boys with him, right? And take that for what it's worth. And he beat up his boys after that. But Rush gets the win here. We had Kelly Klein, who defeated Mayu for the Women of Honor World Championship. I believe this is Kelly Klein's second run as champion here. So they had a good match. I enjoyed it. It was good. After that, we had Flip Gordon and Lifeblood, which is Juice Robinson and Mark Haskin. And now I found myself being, every time I watch Juice Robinson, I become more and more of a fan of his. And I really like Flip Gordon at this point as well. So they defeated Bully Ray, Shane Taylor, and Silas Young. And this was a 6-man tag New York City street fight. I had all your plunder and all, I had very reminiscent to a hardcore match or ECW style match. But nice to see Flip Gordon there. Nice to see Juice Robinson. I really like them. And Bully Ray. At this point, I think he is now, he's not booking, but I think he's on the creative team for Ring of Honor.
Okay.
I get that. After that, we had Dragon Lee taking on Ishimura and Bandito. And this was a 3-way match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Dragon Lee did take home the belts here. And again, Dragon Lee, moving forward, is going to be one of the guys that everyone will be talking about that. So after that, we had a winners take all 4-way tag team match. And this was to not unify, but it was for both the IWGP Tag Team Championship and the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship. We had Gorillas of Destinies. We had Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. Villain Enterprises, which is PCO and Brody King. You had Los Ingobernables, the Japan, Evil and Sonata, and you had the Briscoe brothers. Gorillas of Destiny did take home both the IWGP and the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship. And then we saw a run-in from Enzo and Cass, which we weren't sure at the time if it was a work or a shoot. I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure that it was a work, at this point, just from the reactions of the Ring of Honor Twitter. But at the time, we weren't sure. And we'll talk about Enzo and Cass maybe later on, but I don't necessarily think they're a good fit for Ring of Honor, what they're trying to do. But we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
After that, we had Zack Sabre Jr., who defeated Tanahashi, and this was a singles match for the British Heavyweight Championship. Zack Sabre had Taka Michinoku with him, which was nice to see Taka, as always. And Tanahashi is awesome. Everyone knows how great Tanahashi is. It was a really good match. I highly, highly suggest this match. After that, we had Kota Ibushi, who defeated Naito. And this was a match for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. And what can I say about Ibushi that hasn't already been said? And Naito is fucking off the fucking charts, too. Again, the New Japan matches, starting with the Zack Sabre match and Tanahashi and Ibushi and Naito, like those are 4-star matches, almost 5. Like those were that good. After that, you had Matt Taven, who defeated Jay Lethal and Marty Scurll. This was a 3-way ladder match for the Ring of Honor World Championship. I'm not necessarily a big fan of Matt Taven. Again, this is a Ring of Honor World Championship change at Madison Square Garden, and I've been to quite a bit of Ring of Honor World title changes. Would it be Bryan Danielson defeating James Gibson? Would it be Eddie Edwards winning the belt? Kevin Steen winning the belt? Kevin Owens winning the belt? Or Davey Richards winning the belt? I was there for all those title changes, and those all felt special. This one did not feel special to me.
Yeah.
It's probably because I'm not necessarily a big fan of Matt Taven. I do love Jay Lethal. I do love Marty Scurll, so just not a big fan of Matt Taven. I'm sure he's a nice guy who works hard and stuff like that, but he hasn't done anything for me as of yet.
I can tell you, about 5 years ago or more than that actually, I think. It was 2012-ish, in that range, 2010. I saw Matt Taven in a steel cage match against the unequaled one, Todd Sopel. And did a top rope off the top of the cage power bomb.
Nice.
On Sopel, and it was a good match, a really good match. So,
I'm not saying he's a bad wrestler. He's not for me, I don't think.
What do you think is the flaw in his?
He's missing something. I think he's missing like this. There's something about him that just misses for me. Nothing about his in-ring work, because the in-ring work is fine. It's just something about him that, it's not like it's not like how I feel about Sheamus and I fucking hate his guts and I think he's the worst wrestler ever. No, I don't think that about Matt Taven. It's just something's not connecting with me. And it might be
Sheamus, the worst?
I hate fucking Sheamus. I hate Sheamus. I call him Shitmus because he's shitty. I'm not a fan of Dalton Castle either. I think like when those guys started ascending is when my interest in Ring of Honor started to wane. I watched Ring of Honor. I went to 14 consecutive shows, and that was during the era where it was Kevin Owens and Steve Corino and Sami Zayn and Davey Richards and the Kings of Wrestling and Eddie Edwards, Austin Aries, like that era of Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Back when Cornette was helping with creative. and I really liked it. And then it eventually started to change, and I started not liking some of these guys. Dalton Castle and Matt Taven being the two that I didn't really care for. So, especially when they're like their entire TV's built on those guys, essentially. I do like and I love fucking Jay Lethal. I love Jay Lethal. I was there for his title one too. And it's just just the current Ring of Honor product is very boring to me, and I don't necessarily like it all that much. And then in the main event, we had Okada, who defeated Jay White. Jay White looked really good in this match. He was with Gato. And this was a singles match for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Don't forget that Okada did win the cup to get the title shot here at the Garden. So, it's a big deal. I mean, they had the IWGP, Heavyweight Championship, at the Garden in the United States. I mean, they did a switch there. That's a big deal. And not for nothing, overall, when I look at this show, it was really good. The New Japan, it felt like it felt like two shows. It felt like watching a Ring of Honor show and a New Japan show. And I 100% totally prefer the New Japan show over the Ring of Honor show. Looking at this objectively now, I don't think New Japan needed Ring of Honor to draw. I think they need a Ring of Honor to produce, like, to get the building and do kind of the administrative type things to get the show done.
Yeah.
But I think talking to the fans there and seeing the reactions of the matches, I think overall, I think people came to see New Japan and not Ring of Honor. Because we see Ring of Honor all the time.
Do you think that they were hedging their bets because they knew AEW talent wouldn't be there?
Well, I don't know. Like, if the question is that if Omega, the Young Bucks, and Cody were on this show, would it have been better? Probably. For the Ring of Honor, anyway, for the Ring of Honor portions of the show, probably. But they never necessarily advertised them, so it wasn't necessarily a bait and switch. They didn't advertise. It sold out with no advertising what's going to be on the show whatsoever. We just knew that Ring of Honor and New Japan were running a show, so it's like, oh, we're just going to do it. But I think after seeing the matches, I think New Japan, if they chose to, they could probably run on their own and sell it out.
Yeah.
Not a problem. And I think. The talent's really light in Ring of Honor right now. They're getting guys. They got Bandito. They got Rush. We got to see those guys ascend. They got Flip Gordon. We're going to see down the road, how's it going to go. But you're just going to have to see if they do another show in New York again. Now they're doing one in Dallas. We'll see how they draw there. But if they could do this once a year, I think they would sell it out no problem. And then if you want to bring in some Ring of Honor guys to have a match, you want to bring in some Impact guys to have a match, or you want to bring in some AEW guys to have a match, you could. But people there wanted a New Japan show. They didn't want a Ring of Honor show. If they wanted a Ring of Honor show, they can go to the Hammer Sign and watch that with 2,000 people. Yeah. We've seen that before, but. I don't think this is a novelty that will wear off because the show was so good. And even King Haku made an appearance.
Did he wave at you?
He did not wave at me, but he was there, and I was very excited to see Haku. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So we'll see how what New Japan does in the future. If they will run more shows in the United States, it probably has to be in conjunction with Ring of Honor. I think because I guess the laws here and stuff like that, you need a local promoter to promote this, and I think they're gonna have to need Ring of Honor for the licenses and that kind of stuff. So, if they do this super card every year, maybe not around WrestleMania time, but at some point I would go to it's the Garden. Fuck, it's not far. It's just a train ride away. There's a train ride away, and then after that. WrestleMania 35. This show was long, Matt.
That's putting it kindly.
And it was long, and it was cold. It was
cold,
so
really?
Cold. Well, again, you understand something about MetLife, the former Meadowlands, is that a lot of wind comes off the water because it's surrounded by water. So where I was sitting, like just the wind. So I'm sitting there fucking freezing my ass off for 16 matches.
7.5 hours.
7.5 hours. So it was. I think overall, my impression, it was a good show. Probably the best WrestleMania in a long time, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Was it long? Yes. I think someone at some point told Vince, like, we have a network. We can go as long as we want to go. He was like,
Right.
really? And his money, and I can see Vince thinking this. Shit, we'll give them 7 hours. We'll give them value for their money because we're all paying high prices to be here. I think my ticket was $400. We're getting our money's worth in terms of amount, not necessarily match quality all that much, but at least the amount of matches. Everyone's on the show.
Well, you did pay for the seats to have the light in your eyes the whole time.
Yes, they fixed that during the Randy Orton AJ Styles match. So
good.
Well, that happened to me at SummerSlam. I told you about that, where like I couldn't. I had to go out to the concourse and watch it on TV because I was blind.
I went to TLC in Boston, and I had to lean forward and like squint, so my back and neck were killing me by the end of the show because it was green light all the time. Brutal.
I was thinking about making a Twitter parody account called the WWE Light Guy.
There you go. Nice.
Have some fun there. I think a couple of things I want to stand out when it comes to. I want to talk about the fans a little bit here. Is that when you go to a Ring of Honor show, even you go to a WrestleCon show, there's a certain type of fan there. Might be a little bit more respectful, a little bit more reserved. They're having fun in their own way, but it's like when we go to a WWE show, then you see all the WWE fans there, and
right.
And what I saw over there, and not to disparage these people, but I saw what we called tools back in the day.
Tools, okay.
But now you would probably call them a basic bro. You know what I'm talking about. Kind of like, oh, I'm 25, but I still dress like I'm in college. I'm gonna go and get fucked up with my friends and go watch wrestling, and I'm gonna take pictures of my championship belts at the bar with all the beer around it and stuff like that, or we're gonna have matches in the parking lot type shit, right? And a lot of basic bros out there for this WrestleMania. And one thing that I learned is that people like to yell shit
randomly,
not even like chanting during the matches, just walking around yelling "Adam Cole, baby." Like Adam Cole's not even on their show.
I do that at home all the time.
And it seems like there's a bunch of people walking around with Tourette syndrome. It's really, really off-putting. But if that's the way they had their fun and they paid their tickets, so I'm not gonna bash them too hard. But you kind of just roll your eyes and move on, right? For me, and I got very fortunate because I got in my seat next to me were some really cool people. I had a couple from the Deep South next to me, which is nice because they cheered the babyfaces, booed the heels. So, and they were an older couple too, probably in their 60s.
Oh,
and
nice.
then next to me was people who came in from France.
Oh,
there was a couple that came in from France, and they were just excited to be there. So no smart marks, no douchey basic bros, just some cool people sitting next to me, which was nice to see. A lot of championship belts, a lot of guys walking around with championship belts there, not defending them. It's weird.
Did you openly challenge them?
Oh, I thought about it. Yeah, it was a little bizarre, but those are WWE fans, and you kind of sometimes you forget, especially when you go to a lot of indies or whatever, that these guys do exist, and they're. You kind of just roll your eyes and just I don't ever understood like, oh, I'm going to drink 96 beers at the wrestling show and then pass out on my chair at the main event. Like that's like you're just wasting your money. You can go to a bar and spend less money to get drunk. You really shouldn't be doing that at a wrestling show anyway. But to each their own. Well, at the top, let's talk about the pre-show here. We had Tony Nese, who defeated Buddy Murphy. I thought it was a really, really good match, and this was a singles match for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. We had Tony Nese taking the belt off of Buddy Murphy. Matt, when did you start watching the show? Did you watch any of these pre-show matches?
I only caught the last half hour. I'm sorry. I saw the very end of the tag match with Hawkins and Ryder. And then the rest. Because I had to work, so I got out of work, and I thought it was 6 o'clock, and I didn't think they'd start the show at 5. But again, Vince wants to go long. So he went long. So, yeah, the pre-show-wise, I read up on it. Thank you, Pro Wrestling Torch.
So I think Tony Nese and Buddy Murphy, for an opener, they probably had one of the best matches on the card.
I heard that.
It was really, really good. After that, we had Carmella, who won the 17-woman WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal, who was no longer called the Mulan Battle. Remember that controversy last year? This was fine. I mean, no issues there. Carmella ended up winning it, which was cool. Yeah, it was fine. I mean, no issues there. It's just another way to get more people on the show. After that, we had Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder who defeated the Revival, Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson. And this was a tag team match for the WWE World Tag Team Championship. And this match was really solid. I mean, Hawkins and Ryder here winning it to feel good story. I'm sure the Revival is going to take the belts back, sooner rather than later. So that's fine.
I have a call on that, but I'll get to it.
Okay, what's your call on that?
I think with the Superstar shakeup coming, you're going to see the Usos go to Raw and win the tag belts.
Really?
Yeah.
I see that.
Flash forward to Uso. Oh, I'll get to it later. No. I guess everyone knows by now the time I heard this. So, yes, the Usos dropped the belts on Tuesday to the Hardys, so that frees them up to jump to Raw.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Next up, we had Braun Strowman, who won the 30-man Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, eliminating Colin Joss at the end. This was whatever. Poor Braun Strowman, huh? Like I think we had him penciled in as a main eventer on this show, and now you're on the pre-show. Dang.
Yeah, I really felt that they didn't know what to do with Braun, and they wanted to give him some sort of whatever. And again, like we've seen in the past, Cesaro won it, Matt Hardy won it, Big Show won it,
they'll do nothing with it.
Corbin. So it hasn't really been. Am I forgetting somebody?
No, I think they got them all.
But it hasn't really been the anointing,
Yeah, like it doesn't lead to anything in terms of a match. Oh, Mojo won it too.
Oh, right, yeah.
But it hasn't really led to anything for any of these guys. It's just whatever. Moving on. Up first, we had Seth Rollins who defeated Brock Lesnar for the WWE Universal Championship. I guess the reports coming out of Titan is that Brock did not. This was supposed to go second to last, and Brock did not want to wait around to lose the belt. Yeah, he demanded to be put on first. So I don't know how true that is, or if that's a work or not, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
The match is very quick, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, with Seth Rollins just beating him. Just beating him. That's it. A couple of curb stomps, 1, 2, 3, it's all over. Not necessarily your classic Brock Lesnar versus little guy match. You've seen better matches with him and Finn Balor and him with AJ Styles. So
I mean, I'm happy to see Brock lose the belt because it means a new direction, and honestly, no one's really missing. Brock was just a terrible champion. I think he's the epitome of when like people go, why are the Kardashians famous? Well, they're famous because they're on TV. Why are they on TV? Because they're famous. Like,
yeah.
Why is he champion? Everyone knows Brock Lesnar's name. Well, everyone knows Chris Benoit's name. Oh, never mind.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think Brock moves the needle enough in terms of live gate attendance?
No.
Ticket sales.
Nope.
Ratings.
Nope.
Merch.
Mm-mm.
That justifies his enormous. He's the highest paid person in WWE right now.
I think the only thing that really works for him is Suplex City for the town they're in. I think they'll sell out. But I think if you put any wrestler's shirt with a
theme on it, yeah,
a theme on it for each town they're in, then they're going to sell those shirts because people can wear it and be like, look at me.
Do you think he helped with the Fox deal, having him? Because the Fox executives will obviously know who he is.
Maybe, so they go, oh well, but. Again, I go back to my point of I think that they're going to start lining things up to have some major shift. Like this Superstar shakeup, you're going to see who they think they're going to have their crowd be or the Fox group be.
Nice to see Seth Rollins win the belt here. And the match I could not see because I was blinded by the light. AJ Styles defeated Randy Orton. I'm assuming this match was good, but I couldn't see it. Nice to see AJ get the win here over Randy. Again, Randy is stellar than 6-month-old fucking white bread at this point. They need to do something with Randy. And AJ, someone that can be placed right back in the main event scene at any time. So, it's a good win for AJ Styles here on WrestleMania. So, again, I'm happy with the result here. Next up, you had the Usos. He defeated Aleister Black, Ricochet, Rusev, Shinsuke Nakamura with Lana, and The Bar. This was a fatal four-way for the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship. What are your thoughts on this match, Matt?
It wasn't bad, but I had a friend come over. We grew up watching wrestling together, so we Saturday nights TBS wrestling, and we watched at our friend's house. And his mother was from Barbados, so she would curse at the TV. The Horsemen, why are they doing this? It was hysterical, but so he knows wrestling, and he hasn't watched religiously in a long time. He came over for the Rumble, and he came over this time, and a lot of his reaction was, "Why are they doing this?" And the four-way matches he thought was just. It was too much. And I think what happens is you have casual fans, and casual fans want to be able to sit down, watch, and understand. It's like Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can sit down, watch the game, and understand the basics of it. Everyone knows football pretty much. It's pretty simple to pick up and watch and follow. But with wrestling, you have to have at least some kind of storyline. And those 4 corner matches, there's so much going on. It's like a triple threat match. Like, can we just have 1 versus 2? Like, isn't there enough of a storyline between these 2 people? Tell that story. And I think the 4 corners matches, they're novel, but when you roll them out all the time, they lose their luster. Like, when they had the whole thing with Becky, we're going to make sure you can pass these tests. And then they did a lot of similar stuff to Kofi. It was like, come on, you just did this.
Which is a rehash of the Daniel Bryan angle from a couple years ago as well. So.
Right. And I know some storylines repeat over time. That happens. That's fine. But if you're going to go through and repeat storylines, why won't you repeat the good ones? Like seriously, replay the Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, Miss Elizabeth thing. Use Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, and Lars Anderson. But I'm saying, like, if you're going to replay or rerun storylines, and it happens, here's the thing. I don't even mind it. It happens in Hollywood all the time. We see remakes, reboots, etc. Fine. They've had 4 Spider-Man movies. Whatever. I don't mind that. But I think, to get back to the match, the 4 corners thing, fine, but you're doing too many of them. And again, it goes back to my overall point about this show. Make it 4 hours tops so the casual fan can sit down. And the thing about getting a casual fan to watch is you want to engage them and entice them to return. No, he had to leave early. He didn't see the whole show. It's on a Sunday night, and I heard people saying, like, their kids couldn't stay up for it because they had school the next day. That's fine. But, I mean, that happens all the time. But it's a special event, you let things slide. But it's a 7-hour show. I love the Avengers and Marvel movies, but I wouldn't sit through a marathon. I can't do it.
Do you think you should go 2 nights? You think
Nope.
they would entertain it being 2 nights?
I think they could do it, but I wouldn't because
I think they could sell out 2 stadiums.
They could. They could do a West Coast, East Coast show. They could do a SmackDown and a Raw Wrestlemania if they really wanted to be that brand centric. Yeah. Especially with the Fox deal. They could say, we're doing WrestleMania in LA, and they're like, we're doing ours in Tampa. All right, fine. And, oh my God, 2 WrestleManias. Which one will you go to? I mean, it's a direction I could see them doing. But I wouldn't. I still say you go with let's say, your top 10 matches, and you can do 4 hours. And none of this pre-show garbage. Because you're asking people to... We live in a society where, like, people go, oh, baseball is a passé sport. It is to a degree. But in other ways, it's perfectly built for these days because you can be on your phone, look up, watch a play, go back to your phone. Talk to your friends, look up, watch the play, go back to your friends.
Right.
7 hours in a cold stadium. I went to a Red Sox game once years ago, and I spent $75 on... This is like probably 20 years ago. $75 on a Red Sox sweatshirt because I was so cold. And it was like right near a windy spot where you couldn't break the winds at all, so to speak. You sat through that for 7 hours in the cold, damp weather. I was actually watching people online post snapshots of weather radars and showing how the rain was closing in on WrestleMania.
They just got it in before the rain, too.
They got no rain and no trains. So
I bought a T-shirt, and I had to put the T-shirt on over the T-shirt I already had underneath my hoodie that I was already wearing. So there's a lot of concessions, though. There's a lot of fucking coffee and hot chocolate.
What shirt did you buy?
I bought so many shirts this weekend. My wife's gonna kill me. I bought a Becky Lynch the Man shirt. I bought the WrestleMania, the New York WrestleMania logo shirt. I bought a New Japan Madison Square Garden shirt when I went to the New Japan show. I bought a WrestleCon shirt, and then I got a WrestleCon 2018 shirt for free. So my shirt situation. I bought a New Japan baseball tee. So I went into this like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go all out at this point. It's my once a year thing. Fuck it, they went all out. I spent too much money though. I bought churros in the parking lot from a Hispanic lady and her children at midnight.
Nice.
Walking back to my bus. So that was ridiculous. But yeah.
How was that bus ride?
Oh, it was beautiful, man. It was beautiful. Coach Russ.
Sing the Man song?
No, everyone was fucking tired as fuck. Everyone was passing out. I felt so bad because my biggest fear was missing the bus and being stuck there. And the guy who sat next to me, his buddy missed the fucking bus.
Oh.
And was stuck there, and his phone was dying. And I don't know what happened to this gentleman. If he's listening, I hope everything was okay. But that was my biggest fear. Like, so as soon as the main event was over, I fucking ran out of the fucking building because I want to make sure that it's a coach bus, it's a charter bus. It's nice, but I knew they were going to fucking leave. We're already, it's already 12:30 at this point, so it's like I'm getting the fuck out of here. But yeah, these 4-ways, man. Again, it's just another let's get everyone on the show type shit, and it's like, no, let's not do that.
See, here's the thing about it. All right, if you do that, you really devalue the show. If it's not a showcase of everyone, it's a showcase of the immortals, right?
Well, the best of the best.
The best of the best. And you didn't I keep saying to people, it's like, oh, we want these guys exposure. No, your exposure is each week. You put your very best on. You put 4 hours for the go. That was 4 hours. That was awesome. And you can watch it Monday nights, Tuesday nights. You can watch it, on the network, NXT. NXT TakeOver was amazing.
We'll talk about that in a minute too. We'll go back and
right.
talk about
So and everyone's like, oh, well, it's easier. It's a smaller roster. Well, yeah, you have too many guys in that roster, honestly.
Yeah, they need to cut it by at least a third.
Oh yeah, you could cut 20, 30 people, 200 people, 215 people. I think the number is. That is about 70 people too many.
Like, what could have been cut from this show? Like, you could have cut the women's tag, the four-way women's tag. The men's four-way the four-way tag for the men's. You could have cut Reigns and McIntyre. You probably could have cut Balor and Bobby Lashley. You could probably even cut
Batista.
Yeah, the fans finally completely shitted on that match. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, you could have cut at least a bunch of these matches and still had a really good show.
The women's tag match I enjoyed because I like the Iconics, but it was a good.
I do too. I don't know if they're good workers though, but I like them.
Oh yeah, they're awesome, and I follow them on Twitter, and they're great, and I'm happy they're a married couple, right?
I don't know what their deal is.
Oh, they're together, but good for them. I like to say that Billy Kay and Peyton Royce, like you notice Peyton, but you fall for Billy.
Yeah.
It's a great team. Anyway, that match was good, but I would have kept it to the women's title, the women's unified tag, so you have that representation. I would have done either AUSA or Intercontinental tag, one of the two, not both.
Both, yeah.
Because that Rey Mysterio was hurt. Just say he's hurt, the match has been postponed. Yeah. And again, it goes back to the Miz Shane match. I actually enjoyed. My friend thought he thought the best match was Bryan versus Kofi. The second best was Shane versus Miz. And Shane versus Miz because it delivered. It was, again, casual fan. The quick promo before the beginning was well laid out. He got right into it. Okay, great. I want him to kick Shane's ass.
Right.
Watched it, enjoyed it. That sick bump falling off the golf cart was kind of scary to watch. I hope Shane's okay. But, I think, especially going 25 minutes for Triple H versus Batista,
killed the fucking crowd, bro.
It's a slap in the face. A slap in the face of the young talent. Like I said to a friend of mine, he's got to live like he's got to live like he leads. Like he does such a great job with NXT and so good with the shaping, crafting, and growing the talent. And then does that? Like, dude, no one. I said this on our previous shows. No one was asking for Triple H versus Batista. No one.
No one cared about the match either.
And all I can think is Batista wanted one last match. And he's like, we'll build a match around for, do it at SummerSlam. He's got so many movies coming out, it doesn't matter. They had that little guy in the stands, like, the sign. Like, I don't care. And no one cared. And that's the thing is, it was 11 o'clock. You still had Triple H, Triple H finished up, I think, at 11-ish. And you still had 7 more matches. It was ridiculous. It was like, what? Like, no, you don't need to do this. And when it's like 10 minutes at 12 and the women haven't gone on yet, I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like,
it was insane.
It hurts the product because then you have people, your casual friends like, ugh, he left early. But he also was not amused by like some of the stupid antics. Like Elias, Cena, cut it. No gives a shit. If you're gonna have like,
I'll tell you this from a live crowd perspective, when he came out as the Doctor of Thugonomics, that was probably one of the loudest pops of the night. But you could have also did that on the Raw.
Yeah, that's the thing. I kept saying to him, like, this is a segment that should be on Raw. Like the little backstage shit with like Alexis selling T-shirts.
She did okay with Hogan when Hogan came out.
Again, like, no one cares. Like, you know,
Hogan got a huge pop live too.
I always think about this. There's so much.
Plus, Hogan had a new T-shirt out, by the way, too.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
So Hogan being Hogan, and he got one of the biggest reactions of the night as well. So I can't really fault him for that.
The problem with WWE wrestling is they always talk about, bringing, these fantastic moments, and you can't keep living in the past if you're trying to build new moments, and that's what they keep doing. Wheeling out guys like Batista, Triple H. Too many of these matches, the confusing, again, the casual fans like, well, wrestling fans really like, yeah, but you don't want people going, well, who's watching the Super Bowl? Everyone watches because it's a one-shot deal, and you want WrestleMania to be that kind of thing. And making it 7 hours turns fans off. I don't know. If they do another one like that next year, it's just, I won't watch the first 2 hours. I don't give a shit enough because it's like, oh, I want to see the B team fight, the Usos.
You're better off waiting for it to go on the network and then just going directly to the matches that you want to see.
Right.
And that's it. Up next, we have Kofi Kingston with Big E and Xavier Woods, who defeated Daniel Bryan with Rowan. This was a singles match for the WWE Championship. This match was fucking amazeballs. Like, I don't know if it got 5 stars, but it should have. You know what I mean? It was that fucking good. Kofi Kingston delivered at the biggest moment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a guy that's been around since 2009, 8. Had a couple, maybe a U.S. title run here, IC title run here, tag team title runs, but he was someone never placed on the big stage, and his first opportunity getting placed on the big stage like this, he fucking delivers. It's fucking amazing. And I thought the match with the story they told in the match was done really, really well. I think Daniel Bryan is an underrated heel. He might be the best heel in the business right now, other than Sami Zayn. So
yeah.
I thought this match was fucking off the charts. And, you had grown men in the fucking audience crying. I don't know if you saw the video of MVP and Shad Gaspar from Primetime fucking crying.
I did not see that.
Yeah, they were fucking tears, because say what you want to say about anything, but Kofi Kingston winning the championship meant a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, and I kept hearing people say things like, oh, he's the first black champion. And I kept saying, someone cut to R-Truth, like, what? Or Ron Simmons, like, what?
I mean, that particular belt, yes. And that's there's a lot of fucking asterisks on that. That belt, yes. Obviously, Mark Henry had won it, but that was the big gold he won. Depends if you want to count The Rock or not. Rock is half black. So there's a lot of asterisks there, and obviously Ron Simmons won the WCW. Well, you can go back to Bearcat Wright and a bunch of other guys too who won. Bobo Brazil even. They had quote unquote world title runs as well. So, but for that, for the WWE Championship, WWF Championship, the belt that Bruno Sammartino held and Hulk Hogan held, if you don't count The Rock, then yes, Kofi Kingston is the first black heavyweight champion for the WWE. But I mean, that's the belt, though. You can say what you want about the Universal Championship or the World Heavyweight Championship or the WCW Championship. For that belt to never be held by African American or of anyone that was a darker complexion, someone that's black. I mean, it just hasn't happened yet, which is weird. And we'll talk about this. We'll sidetrack for a minute. That I guess it's weird because the WWE's always had Bruno was an ethnic champion.
Yeah.
Bruno's, literally off the boat Italian. Pedro Morales, world champion, Puerto Rican, right? Hispanic, right? He's an ethnic champion. If you want to count Ivan Koloff, he's Canadian, but he's Russian. You know what I mean? He's an ethnic champion. Hulk Hogan, technically, is supposed to be Irish, but he's more Americanized. They got away from the ethnic champion deal with Backlund. But there's always been professional wrestling in general. And I think we'll do another show about this. Is oddly inclusive for some reason. Even if you think about it in terms of this. I know people give wrestling a lot of shit for stereotypes, and it's 100%. That's on the money. That's on point. But in terms of representation, and if you look at a lot of not the AWA. But you look at a lot of the other promotions, they always had Hispanic stars. They always had black stars. Obviously, your Caucasian stars as well. They always had guys from Japan, guys from Australia, guys from Russia, even if Native Americans, they've always they always had representation, on their cards. If you look at the cards overall. Now, depending on who's in your top spots or not, that's a whole different story. But in terms of representation, you can find if someone of a ethnic background, you can find someone like as a kid, I can, as a Hispanic myself, I had Tito Santana. You know what I mean? We had the Guerreros, we had El Santo, we had Bill Mascaris, we had people. If you're African American, you had Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, and especially the JYD. So there's always been representation. Maybe not in the top spots other than JYD. But Kofi winning here it's important to a lot of people. I think it's just showing that the fans made this happen. Kofi was a substitution.
Yeah.
Kofi probably wouldn't even been on this show. He would have been in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. And the fans made this happen. And really, it was, the WWE listened on this one. And kudos to them for listening. They learned the lesson from Daniel Bryan last time.
Yes. I almost thought they were going to have Bryan keep the belt somehow. And
the fans would have fucking rioted.
And then build up to SummerSlam. But, they can still...
Every once in a while, you have to do the right thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Or you lose the trust of the fans. Like, you can only fuck with them to a certain degree. You can only troll them so much.
Right.
And I think with the title change with Seth Rollins, Kofi Kingston, and Becky Lynch, and and people do like, if Seth Rollins and Kofi's winning, then Becky's not winning because they're not going to give us all three. And they gave you all three.
Yes.
So kudos to WWE for doing that. I'm not a big fan of the pseudo bait and switch on Raw. We'll talk about Raw a little bit later. But whatever. That's for this night, they did the right thing. After that, Samoa Joe defeated Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio was hurt, so this match only lasted a minute. Joe wins by choking him out, which I guess is fine. Didn't need to be on the show.
Again, you know what that means to me? That means they spent about 10 minutes just bringing them out.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, you know what? I keep thinking you could cut an hour easy by just losing Triple H, the U.S. title, the IC title, and, one of the tag belts. Like, just boom, 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 boom.
Big time. After that, you had Roman Reigns, who got... All right, the reaction Roman Reigns got, it wasn't cheers, and it wasn't boos. It was mostly polite silence. They didn't want to cheer him with all the stuff he's been through. They didn't want to boo him either. So everyone was just quiet. So Roman Reigns had no reaction live. So Roman Reigns defeated Drew McIntyre in a singles match for 10 minutes, and that was that. Okay, Roman Reigns is on the show. That's wonderful. He has a new T-shirt out as well, and a vest. So
a new vest.
He's a new vest that you can purchase if you really wanted to. After that, you had the crowd killer match, which was Triple H who defeated Batista. This was a no-hold match, and if Triple H lost, he would have been forced to retire. Triple H gets the victory here in a match that probably went 22 minutes too long. Like, it was just boring. Everyone was like, literally, I was watching people literally fall asleep while they were watching this match.
Yeah, I don't get it. He does so many things right, and it's like he goes to WWE and he turns on the shithead, and it's like, come on, man.
Who thought it was a good idea for you to go 25 minutes?
Well, that's the thing, too. If you made it a 5-minute match, heavily with weapons and gimmicks, totally understandable. But you made it this, like, long, drawn out.
The longest match on the show.
Yeah, I always love people say things like, oh, they're blown up. If you're in a brawl and you're supposed to be fighting, you should be slowed down and winded by, injury. You're selling the injury part. Yeah, I was not.
Fucking awful. Fucking awful.
Bad decision. Bad call.
Oh, by the way, when they did the Elias segment, did anyone else think that Honky Tonk Man was going to come out? Because he should have. It would have made more sense if they would have done this little, Elias plays, then Honky comes out, and then Honky gets in an altercation with Elias, and then Cena comes out as the switch. Like, they had Honky was there. How are you going to have Honky Tonk Man not come out for Elias? Because you had Jeff Jarrett do it.
Well, the next night, they had Undertaker come out, and that's, to a degree, okay, fine. But I think that might be the future role for him. Like, just have him come out, tombstone pile drive somebody, and you're done,
I'm afraid that he's going to get... Same thing with Kurt Angle. We'll talk about Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle. And that match was not good at all. And Corbin's getting better, but You know, a lot of people were disappointed this was Kurt Angle's farewell match, and he didn't wrestle Cena.
Yeah, I was expecting Cena to come out. He could have done the Thugonomics thing and come out and been like, I came out once and, finish you off. I'm back.
Nope, they just went with Corbin. They're stuck with their guns on this one.
I think they're hoping he can turn that into something, but it's like, maybe Undertaker-ish type approach. But no, Angle was done and done and done.
Like he shouldn't even have had matches when he came back. But yeah, it was weird. It was weird that they actually went through with that Corbin thing because I didn't think they were going to. I thought they were going to switch him out, but they didn't. That's your final match. Nice job, bud. After that, we had Finn Balor who defeated Bobby Lashley with Leo Rush. And this has been a hot and heated angle for a while. Only went 4 minutes though. Finn Balor getting the win and winning the IC belt. So, congratulations.
Another why?
Does it mean that Bobby Lashley have zero personality?
Oh, he's brutal.
The negative personality. He takes all Leo Rush's personality and still has a zero.
He needs to be.
It's better if you put him with Heyman.
Yeah, I'd have him become Heyman's new Lesnar.
That's what Bobby Lashley wanted because he was doing the MMA gimmick in Impact with the entourage and all that shit. But Vince doesn't see him that way. It's weird.
Yeah.
And then finally, we had Becky Lynch, who defeated Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. Winner take all triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship and the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. I've seen them have better matches, all three of them. I've seen Ronda have better matches, and I guess we got to talk about the botch at the end. I guess that was a little botchy.
A couple of things. One was that bump Ronda took on the back of her head wasn't very good. Spot where she was trying to put the arm bar on her, hanging off the ropes, and I just some of the bumps. There was a bump earlier in the Battle Royal where what's his face? Harper had Ali in a suplex, and Lesnar kicked him off.
Yep.
And what I thought was going to happen was he was going to drop Ali, Lesnar would catch him and power slam him. But instead, he actually went over with him. And it wasn't so much the bump. Ali took the bump okay. It was when he came up, his face went right into the table. I don't know, man. So anyways, that match with the women.
A little sloppy, a little botchy, to be honest.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I was surprised that Sasha didn't screw things up more than she did earlier. But, yeah.
But I think the crowd wanted Becky to win. Suddenly, they were behind, Becky 100%. They did the weird fucking vignette of Charlotte coming into the arena on the helicopter.
Yeah.
Which is based on, because Rick did that with Ricky Morton from one of the bashes.
Right.
But she didn't fly into the stadium. She's just outside in her gear. She walks in. Which was weird and different, but the match was okay. Again, I've seen Becky have better matches. I've seen Ronda have better matches. I've seen Charlotte have better matches. And the referee fucked up the 3 count at the end because her shoulders are clearly up, which I would use since it happened, you would use that as an angle down the road because Ronda can always go back. It's like, look, my shoulders weren't down. You didn't beat shit.
Right.
Now you got to take me on again. Probably the best way to kind of rectify that a little bit. So that's what I would do, but no one listens to me. So Matt, I didn't get a chance to watch TakeOver because I was doing other things. What was your thoughts overall on NXT TakeOver?
Oh, it was a great show. Again, perfect example of proper build-up, delivery. The women's match was, the weakest of the matches, and that was still a good match.
Yeah.
So, as far as I'm concerned, that whole show was a fun time.
Because people were singing the praises of Gargano versus Cole at the 5-star match. Do you think it was 5-star on that?
I could see that. I mean, it's good, but my one problem with that and actually a lot of NXT main events is the no-sell or the kick out of a finisher.
Right.
And the only time I like a kick out of a finisher is if there's some sort of he's so winded that it takes him a while, he can't cover right away.
Right.
So he has to crawl over and he makes the cover and it's he didn't get it. Jimmy Ross would be great at that. Cover him. Finally covers 1, 2, no. Because then you're like, oh man. Or the foot in the bottom rope. That's an old classic, oh man. But the constant kick out as a delay the match to me just devalues the finisher.
Yeah.
And I get why they do it, but after a while it's come on, man. I really enjoyed the match. It was a good 23 falls match because it wasn't one of those ones where they had the quick 5-minute pull out of nowhere, you know, easy, cheap victory.
Right.
To get one of the falls out of the way. So that was good.
What are your thoughts on Velveteen Dream and Matt Riddle?
Oh, that was a very good match. Very, very good. Very high impact. The entrance by Dream was really funny.
He's awesome. I think he's gonna be.
Oh yeah.
If he doesn't get fucked up and he goes to the main roster, he's gonna be, one of the biggest stars, if not the biggest star in the company.
Oh yeah, he's. Again, this was when I think of you got to pace yourselves, guys. Say I know you want to pull out every stop and everything, and that's great to a degree, but man, I just don't want to see these guys get hurt. We saw what happened with Ciampa.
Yeah.
His Ciampa's top of the world, and then poof. And I don't even know if he's going to be looking back or not.
Yeah. He's only 23 years old. Can you believe that?
Dream?
Man.
Yeah. He's
5-year pro. I'm fucking believe he's gonna be around for a long time. So,
well, we could be seeing, the superstar shakeup. Maybe we'll see him.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I mean, he just won the belt. No, he didn't. He didn't have it. Does he have the?
He's the North American champion. Yeah.
Okay. So who knows? He can. I guess they just had NXT shows, so I can always look at spoilers if I wanted to, but I don't necessarily do that. So.
Yeah.
Not my thing. And then again, I didn't watch Raw or SmackDown because I was burnt out on wrestling. So anything of note happened on Raw?
Undertaker came out and pile drove Elias. Because he said, "Oh, whoever is wrestling me next is gonna, be a dead man," and then of course he walked out.
Of course.
Right. So
I know they did the bait and switch. They're going to have a winner-take-all match, and it ended up evolving into a tag team match with the Bar, which is weird. That was the Bar in that spot.
That pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah,
and I get it totally because that is a bait and switch, but it's also like
they would have done that with the Revival though. It would have worked better.
Right, but the whole idea of we're going to have this huge match, we'll do it tonight. No, that's like a SummerSlam main event.
Yeah.
And. Also, part of me was the whole throwaway line by Kofi is, well, next week is Superstar Shakeup. What? You just throw that out like a half, no, that's supposed to be a big announcement.
Yeah. That's something that Vince comes out for and shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, what are your thoughts on SmackDown? Anything of note happened on SmackDown?
Nothing major. The Usos lost the tag belts to the Hardys. That was pretty good. For some reason, Drew McIntyre came out and went with the Bar to fight New Day. And again, it goes to the whole thing of we're teasing the Superstar Shakeup. Oh, Kevin. And after one of the matches, Randy Orton RKO'd Mustafa Ali, and then he was all celebrating, and then he got powerbombed. No, he left, and somebody else got powerbombed by Kevin Owens. It was all over the place.
It was a mess. Yeah, I heard those shows weren't as good as some of the other post-Mania shows because those shows they're expected to be kind of a reset.
Yeah.
You have your feuds concluding on WrestleMania, and then by the time you get to Raw and SmackDown, new feuds are supposed to set up. They probably should have went with the Kofi, Drew McIntyre feud, but Drew McIntyre's got beat by fucking Roman Reigns, so who gives a shit? You know what I mean? And
yeah.
And they didn't reset anything. They didn't say, "Oh, who's Kofi's next challenger or who's Seth's next challenger going to be down the road for the next pay-per-view," which is not far away because they're every 3 weeks at this point. So yeah, it was weird that they got caught with their pants down on these Raws and SmackDown. So I know they had the altercation with Lacey Evans and Becky.
Yes,
which is interesting. So. At least they did something with Lacey at this point instead of having her just walk out and do nothing. So they've been teasing that for a while. So let's see what happens. See how it goes from here. But I think overall, you talk about WrestleMania weekend as in general. I think it's something that if you're a professional wrestling fan, you have to experience at least once. So pick a city that you like to go to. If something's local, give it a shot. You don't have to spend a ton of money because when you go to WrestleMania anyway. In these stadiums, it's not like even though you're spending $400, you're not getting the best seat in the house anyway. So you might as well just spend $100 and sit at the upper deck. You know what I mean? Either watching the big screens anyway. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you know, if WrestleMania is in the area, or if you like going on vacation, definitely do WrestleMania. Do a takeover. For God's sakes, do a takeover. And then do a WrestleCon or Access. I prefer WrestleCon over Access because Access there's not enough there during Access like to see. Like you can probably do Access like in 2 hours if you're not interested in pictures and autographs for anybody. And the lines for pictures and autographs will take up all your time anyway. So it's like, oh, I have to wait 3 hours to get Sheamus's autograph. You're going to be very disappointed.
Right.
And those are free. You just got to pay for admission, and then the autographs are free. Other than WrestleCon, you have to pay for admission, and you got to pay each individual whatever they're charging for photos and autographs. So, Access is the better value if you're really into like, I need to get that fucking, that Randy Orton autograph and picture. Then you're gonna be waiting online for a very long time. And sometimes they switch out while you're online, so you've been waiting 3 hours online, and then you want John Cena, and then you end up getting Luke Harper instead. So the trade off is not necessarily there. But I've done Access before, so I didn't do Access this time. So because I knew what it was going to be like. So it is what it is. But I think if you're a wrestling fan in general, definitely take some time out. Go to a Mania. I mean, they're not like it was back in the day. Like trying to, like for me, it cost me $1,000 to get a ticket for WrestleMania 20, and that was in 2004. And I was like fifth row deep. I was fifth row on the floor, against the guardrail once again. But those stadiums are so big that you'll be able to get a ticket. You don't have to worry about not getting a ticket.
Yeah.
And some of the higher seats are going to be more reasonably priced than trying to get into the Garden where demand is for 100,000, but there's only 20,000 seats. So no matter where you sit in that arena, it's going to be fucking expensive. You get some reasonable seats for WrestleMania because the venue's so large. And next year they're doing Tampa, so they're going to do something off that fucking pirate ship in Tampa. It should be a good time. I'm trying to convince my wife maybe we go down to the Tampa. We'll see how it goes. I prefer to go to Los Angeles or New Orleans, to be completely honest. I wouldn't go to a northern town for WrestleMania unless it's inside of a dome. So
right.
We'll see. I mean, I don't think they've done one in there, but they usually they'll do like the Astrodome, or I guess it's still the Astrodome, but they'll do the Superdome, and they'll do they do whatever they want to do in Florida. Yeah, it is what it is. All right, guys. So we are officially